call the meeting to order. This is the City Commission meeting. It's Monday, October the 9th, 2023 at 5:30 p.m. If you please stand for the invocation and the pledge. Heavenly Father, we ask that you watch over this group tonight, that you help us to make good decisions for the city of Leesburg. We do this in your name. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 2 is proclamations. We have 9. Item 3 is presentations. We're going to have a presentation on the Venetian Cove Marina project. Travis?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Excited to show you guys what we have going for the Marina project. It's been a project we've talked about for many years now. So let's just get to it. If we go to the next slide. So our directive was to demo and rebuild the Venetian Cove Marina, and we wanted it to fit the aesthetic of the lakefront area, kind of match the Venetian Center and the new paint job at Pat Thomas. So that's what we had asked Edgewater to do, and I think as we get going, you'll see that that is what they did. It's inside. It's just reception area, offices, and restrooms. And the restrooms are going to be accessible from both inside and outside. So when we lock up the marina on, at the end of the day, you can have access on the outside. They will be the boat ramp restrooms instead of Pat Thomas once this is built. So we'll have to do some signage to get people from the boat ramp to the marina, but that's where those bathrooms will be. We also wanted to add some wet slips for a budget of $2 million. And it's design, bid, build. So this is the first concept that we wanted to present to you guys, and then we'll go from there and get deeper into the design. So here it is, a little mini Venetian Center, one with a cupola and one without one. So you have the overhang in the front, entrance. It's just a small little building. One has, like I said, the cupola on top, and one isn't. The inside is going to all be the same. If we want to go to the next slide. This shows the back side of it. So there's a little overhang that'll be overlooking the lake and the docks. That'll be a shaded outdoor seating area. This is the inside. So both buildings, whether you go with the cupola or not, this is what the inside looks like. There's the restrooms on the west side, and the offices and the reception on the east side. It does. If you think of where the marina is right now, it does shift a little bit to the west, so the existing sidewalk that walks up to the side of the building will actually bring you right into the front of the building. We kind of have a big, ugly gas tank. If you can see up in the top corner, that white square is there. We are looking at maybe having to move that just to get it out, so it's not the first thing that you see. But the way we were able to orient it with the sidewalk, it's out of the way. So that was kind of a good win for us. Another little shot of where it's going to be with that sidewalk. Yep. And then here's the cost estimates. So these are the cost estimates from Edgewater. Like I stated, it's design, bid, build. So as we get through design and start bidding these out, of course, these can change a little bit, but these do include the contingency. So just over $630,000 for the one with the cupola, and then $587 for the one without. And like I said, that does include FF&E, contingency, permits, everything. The other part of this was the wet slip, additional wet slip. So this is an additional 42. We currently have 44. This would add 42 more. The first section, with the cost there, that's around that $230, $240, I think is that first section. That's repairs and changing out of some areas that need to be repaired on the existing dock system. So the new fingers, the new slips, are the bottom two sections, come out to about $550,000, $100,000. Add in contingencies and everything, and you get to just under $1 million for it. But that does, when we've talked to a couple different commissioners, that does, when we're talking about return on investment, that 230, 240 on that top section needs to be done regardless. So that's, we got some old wooden pilings and stuff that needs to be changed out. Next. So adding the slips, every slip gives us a profit or revenue each year of just over or just under $2,000. So $1,842 for $81,000 a year for the 44 slips. If we add the 42, it gives us $77,000 more, and that's 158 would be the profit per year for the 86 slips once we get there. So it's about $153 a month is kind of our average wet slip rate. We do 3 different sets of rates. They're all by foot, but it's commercial, resident, and non-resident rates. So here's the options: one with and one without the cupola. 1.58 and 1.54, basically $40,000 difference. The cupola costs you $40,000 for a little more aesthetics. One thing I think I should note, maybe should have had on here, is that the architect and the engineer cost is not in that 1.58. So option 1 with the architect and engineer is 1.802, and then option 2 is 1.756 for with all in. That's it. Any questions? And I think we do have rep from Edgewater here if you got some technical questions. Otherwise,
Question about your wet slips. Mm-hmm. Currently all occupied?
Currently, yes. So currently full and always full. Like that, the wet slips are one that as soon as we have an opening, we fill it. There's a waiting list of about 50 people on it. Commissioner Reisman and I have been talking. There's the idea about maybe putting some doing a deposit system on wet slips, like we do at the airport. So that'd be something we may want to discuss. But yeah, talking to Al, I'd say if you gave us 6 to maybe 12 months at the most, we'd have them all full.
And I know we spoke, but the life expectancy on these new docks you're saying 25 years?
Yeah, 25 to 35. So we talked with Brock from Edgewater today. They said 25 plus is the life expectancy. The actual product website says 35 plus. So I'm guessing. And of course, Brock was talking a little bit about like some nuts and bolts changes out, where we were talking more about a couple $100,000
yes, exactly.
fixing. So 25 to 35.
Okay, so you're thinking it's your rough numbers, 8 to 10 years to get our initial investment back, and then we should have plus or minus 15 years of relatively nothing major maintenance.
Correct.
After we go back into that, we would be collecting the rent on.
Yep, that'd be the expectation.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Are we competitive on the rent as well?
We are. So each year we call around. I've actually brought our list, not of the rents, but we call around to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 area marinas, and before we come budget time, we see where their rates are, and then we're I would say, so we're of the 9, we're probably second, third highest. We creeped up we went from the bottom lowest rates to now we are about second, third highest. So yeah, I'd say we're competitive. And we did just do a 3% in the last budget increase.
How would the commission feel about doing the similar wait list like we did at the airport, where they pay a deposit, get on the list? It's kind of like a little skin in the game. That way we can prove the list is actually a true list.
Well, my position would be, if we do that, we see if the list fills up and there's money, then we know that we can do the project almost. So why not?
We can pull yeah.
So why not just make sure the list is full before we allocate the funds? Or Let me, if I can add to the discussion on that. Commissioner Reisman talked to me about this concept prior to the meeting, and it's kind of like a two-step. Obviously, the proposed biggest expenditure with this project is the $1 million for the slip, and then there's always the question of, I'm not doubting Travis. I think we'll get the slips filled, but we don't know. One of the differences that we have had in operations of the city is the airport has a waiting list for hangars, and they're required to provide like 1 month's rent, $250 to $500, depending on what type of hangar you're on the waiting list for, just to show your interest. You have skin in the game. 9 times out of 20, or 19 times out of 20, it's a little bit more than 1%. There's one person who might not then get that hangar. In this case, being that the largest expenditure is the docks, I think you can kind of two-step it if you want that security. So the two-step would be this evening to go ahead and pick the option that you want as far as the marina building, and we'll move to design on the marina building. When that's done, then we'll go to bid, and then that project would be back to you for the construction contract on the marina to execute. In the interim, we can adopt a policy for the marina that does require the deposit to be on the waiting list. I would suggest that we do $150 payment, which represents 1 month. The typical lease out there is about $750 a foot for about a 20-foot boat. So that's where we get the $150 from. And then, Travis, we adopt that policy. We could probably get that to you probably next meeting. And then Travis goes and we organize that list. And from that, we're going to have the 42 people who are on that list, and they're going to give us $150. And then that's a little bit of validation that potentially we have these people who are going to go slide right into the slip when it's done construction, and you'll have that return on investment, as Commissioner Cannell said, and as that's in the packet. Or worst case would be, you know what, folks, don't do a deposit, and then you may want to question whether or not you go back. So I would, if you're going to do that, then I would say let's just move forward with the design of the marina. It's an inclusive contract, marina and with Edgewater Marina and slips. I don't think Edgewater is going to do both right now, or maybe they would, but they can probably wait on the other and give us 90 days to kind of flush this out. And as they're done with the other, we'll come back and revisit this, and then you can give kind of another move forward with the marina. So you have a couple options there.
Let's ask Edgewater, is there any problem with that? Or I mean, that works for you guys, no big.
Fine. I mean, I would think about, get the price on the marina, then we know the number, because it's still an estimate.
Right.
And, for lower or higher, then we've got it, but we don't have to award until you're ready to award.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, the contractor wants to move ahead with design. I would not, I understand where he's coming from, because it is an estimate number. We're hoping that those numbers are going to be lower. But if you're going to save money and not do the marina slip concept at all because we're concerned that we won't be able to fill it, then you won't want to spend any money on design. And I think we can probably get back to the contractor probably in the next, 60 to 90 days and say, yeah, we're good. We've got these things filled up. And then he can move off into the design for the slip. And so I don't think it's a big delay. I don't think that process is foolproof, but I think it gives you a little political cover that, okay, yeah, we do actually have 44 people on a waiting list that have put at least a little skin in the game that represents some security that the slips will be filled when you put the $1 million into it.
I appreciate all the comments. Yeah, to me, worst case, we're going to build half of them. But I mean, I feel comfortable building all of them at this time. But I mean, to me, if the numbers come back bad, that would be the compromise. Build 22 instead of 44. I mean, the marinas had a waiting list forever. I've called there over the years to try to get a boat to a wet slip, and no chance.
Any other comment?
I have a question. So this is based on existing boats now that we have, not including any additional that will come to once the marina is there, the slips.
No, everything that we've talked about is additional.
Additional?
Yes.
Okay.
So right now, there's 44 wet
44.
slips?
Yep.
So this would add 42 wet slips, so 86 potential
Okay.
boats out there, and we think we can fill it.
That's what
There may be repairs to some of the old dock.
Yeah, there's
That may be where you're confused.
there's a couple.
But you've already
repairs.
got a waiting list, is that correct?
Correct.
So it's kind of, yeah.
We do, and we have two, Freedom Boat Club and Adventure Boat Share are both knocking on our door all the time, to fill in slips. So, and they do pay full rate, commercial rate. So, if we let them, they'd probably fill up most of them. But we want to keep some for residents.
So at this point, we've had the presentation. We need to decide, which direction do we want to go? So we'd look to make a motion as to,
I'll make a motion. We move forward with the marina and hold off until we get the wait list completed
okay.
on the slips.
You said move forward with the marina.
The building. The building.
Well, with what option?
The cupola. I would be in support of the cupola.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, now we can have discussion.
I mean, I'm all in forward of the marina. I think it's a good thing, and I think we do need some real public restrooms down there. But I don't know about spending $40,000 on a cupola just for some aesthetics look. It's not even. I mean, unless you're down there, you're not even going to see the building down there. So I wouldn't be supportive of spending the extra $40,000.
So there's a cupola on the Venetian Center, I guess. Is that why we're putting a cupola here?
There's that raised, like the raised point and the entrance. So I don't know if architecturally it's considered a cupola, but it does have that second story look above the entryway.
We had not to revisit history, but it's always fun. We had a long discussion about the aesthetic qualities of what the Venetian Center, and even how to spell the name if we were going to make it the Venetian Centre with the E on the end, on how that went. And so there are a bunch of different concepts that we came up with. Probably the biggest one was how we did that interior roof with the exposed metalwork on the inside. And, ultimately, I don't remember what the number was, but we came up saving like about $1.5 million in the big room, the Venetian room, where we didn't do that tongue and groove type of material that you see that's in the A-frame. So all that to say, there was a lot of consideration on some extra architectural features that we wanted to put into that building. So as we've done some of the other facilities, we've kind of, with the restaurant, we imposed some concepts. Of course, we were able to pass off some of those concepts to the developer in that agreement. So the concept with the cupola is just to, as Commissioner Peterson would say, if we're going to do it right.
I was trying to avoid saying that. I try to be fiscally responsible, but I do say that all the time.
Anyway you go, look, the bottom line is, I think I heard that too. So, anyway you go, we need the new building because the floor is falling out of the double wide down there. And if you want, we can always do it as an alternate because maybe you save a couple of bucks, and maybe it turns out to be 20 versus 40 grand.
I mean, where I'm coming from is I'm in favor of building the building because I think we need it. But this isn't like it's going to be right in your face as you come into the city of Leesburg or something. I mean, this is down there behind Pat Thomas. Unless you happen to drive down there to go to the marina, you're not even going to see the thing. So it's not like a major highway or something. So I just think spending $40,000 on a little cupola is kind of a waste of money.
Maybe go back to the slide so we could see it again, please.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it looks better with it, but for $40,000, I just don't think it.
$40,000 better.
I don't exactly. That's my point to it. Yes.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor right now that it is for the cupola design. So let's vote on that. Vote on the two designs, and then we'll vote on whether to do only the design or the design and the marina? Or do we only need one vote, Grant? What?
Well, the motion on the floor works.
Is it work?
Which is to do the building with the cupola and to two-step the marina.
Okay.
Essentially the two.
Okay, that works. That works. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Connell,
No.
Commissioner Eastman,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Berry,
Yes.
Mayor Burry.
Yes. All right.
Just want to say I look forward to getting the full list because I'm pretty sure we will, but just want to have some guarantees.
Okay. Good deal.
We might take it off later.
Okay, so we'll move on now to public comments. This section is reserved for members of the public to bring up matters of concern or opportunities for praise. Issues brought up will not be discussed in detail at this meeting. Issues will either be referred to the proper staff or will be scheduled for consideration at a future City Commission meeting. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. If you'd please give your name and your address when you come to the microphone. Any public comment? No public comment. We'll move to the consent agenda. Routine items are placed on the consent agenda to expedite the meeting. If the commission or staff wish to discuss any item, the procedure is as follows. 1, pull the item or items from the consent agenda. 2, vote on remaining items with 1 roll call vote. And 3, discuss each pulled item and vote by roll call.
Mr. Mayor, before you pull items, just procedurally, we do need to withdraw item 5C3. That the city attorney found some contractual errors in that continuing service agreement, so that one's off the table. And I would ask 5C4. Is it 4?
The Historic Preservation Board will pull that.
But 5 is the one you want.
4,
The
we need to pull
alpha
the vote.
continuing, hold on.
5C3 is the alpha.
5, so we got to cancel 5C3.
Right.
If you don't pull 5C4, you have the appropriate numbers
Yeah.
to serve it, so you don't necessarily
Right.
need to pull 4.
That was my comment. Okay, thank you.
But we do need to pull, if somebody would, 5C5. And if you want to pull 5C4, we can.
No, that's fine.
But we
would
do
have
need to
vote, but-
we do need to pull 5C5.
So 5C4 is the historic board, right?
No, yes.
Okay. I'd like to pull 5C4 and 5C5.
Any other items?
Make a motion to approve remaining items on consent agenda.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Eastman,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Berry,
Yes.
Commissioner Connell,
Yes.
Mayor Burry.
Yes. Would someone please introduce 5C4?
I'll introduce 5C4 to be read by title only.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Leesburg, Florida, appointing 4 members to the Leesburg Historic Preservation Board and providing an effective date.
For approval.
Second.
Discussion?
Are any of the applicants here to speak?
Do we have any of the applicants here that like to speak for the Historic Board?
None.
No applicants present. Do you have any comments?
So we need to appoint one person?
No,
4.
there's point 4, and there's 4 open positions.
Oh, okay, then I misunderstood.
Okay.
That's my fault.
And if you just make a motion to accept it as presented by staff, that gets it done.
So moved.
So,
Can we get a second?
second.
Roll call.
That's my fault. I misread that.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Berry,
Yes.
Commissioner Connell,
Yes.
Commissioner Eastman,
Yes.
Mayor Burry.
Yes.
One more note on the topic of the Historic Board, Preservation Board. You now have a full Historic Preservation Board by the city's charter. It's a 7-member board with, I believe it's 2 alternates. So you have a full 7 members. The alternates at this time are unfilled, but you have an operating board. I wanted to jump in here just to kind of give you a general update. A year or so ago, maybe we kind of started going through a concept internally of changing the composition of the historic board to kind of pull back some of the keys on what they do in reference to authorizing final demolition and those type of things, and potentially bringing that authority back to this body. Upon research from the city attorney, primarily the city attorney, we determined that we really can't do that. The charter of the city was set up to adopt a historic board in accordance with provisions by the state. And the state is basically the one saying, if you want our grant money for historic preservation purposes or any other type of stuff regarding preservation, you need to do it our way. And the state's way is the way that we've adopted in the charter, which says that there are going to be these many people and these are the duties. And part of the duties is that the Historic Preservation Board gets the final determination on what's demoed or what's remodeled. So long story short, we can't do kind of the type of thing that we contemplated. Your action tonight now brings on a full board with the exception of the alternates, and as we get more applications, we'll bring those to you.
And you said the group is full. One of the applications I noticed he checked the box for Historic Preservation Board, but in his comments he said he was applying for the electric.
He had checked.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll note too many of the applicants we get check multiple boxes because they have multiple interests.
Okay. So would someone please introduce 5C5?
Just have it be read by title only.
Excuse me. Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Leesburg, Florida, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute a utility construction, reimbursement, pioneering, and wastewater capacity reservation agreement between the City of Leesburg and NVR, Inc., and providing an effective date.
Approval.
Second. Discussion.
I just want to jump in briefly, and I guess one thing, did we get a vote on the last item, or did we just have it introduced?
On the historic board?
Yeah.
We voted.
We voted, okay, very good. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'll jump in on C5 here just to make a couple of points. So the version that was in the application package, and this is the pioneering agreement for the wastewater, the version in the package there were some requests to make a couple of slight modifications to that. I think that they're okay from our perspective, but we wanted to highlight that so you guys were aware of what those requested changes were. So the first change was essentially to allow NVR, the developer here, the ability to terminate the agreement if they don't end up purchasing the property. So this is just sort of a general sense of fairness type of thing. If they don't end up owning the property, then they certainly wouldn't be interested in constructing the wastewater lines that would go along with it. So it's somewhat implicit in the agreement, but it was added in there just to make sure it was clear for everybody. That was one of the changes. The second change was with respect to capacity reservation. The way it was drafted originally had capacity reserved until the city completes construction of the sewer plant that's currently under construction. I think the estimated time frame on that is maybe about 2 years, somewhere in that neighborhood, year and a half, 2 years. So not a very extensive period of reservation for the developer here. So they had requested to have a more extensive reservation period. So the request was to tie their reservation period to the 20-year term of the agreement. So the reservation, as proposed now, would change from that roughly 2-year kind of estimated period to 20 years, which is the term of the agreement. So under the pioneering arrangement, a developer is entitled to reimbursement for a 20-year period under the agreement. And so that's why the reservation was sort of tied to that 20-year term. So they're taking, in the concept basically is with the pioneer, they're taking the risk to construct the lines. They're repaid as other developers hook in along the line over time. So their period to recoup their investment is 20 years. If they've not hooked in the 20 years, then they don't get reimbursed from those costs. Yes, sir.
So in the original agreement, that was up to the time that they recoup their investment. Is that correct?
Under the original agreement, it was only up to the point where the city finished construction on the sewer plant.
But they were allowed to recoup.
Correct.
And on the new agreement, is it still only till they recoup recoup their
Yes,
investment.
there was no change on that term.
that hasn't changed,
Yes,
right?
the recoup period is still 20 years. The
Yeah,
change.
let me jump in just so we got everybody on the same page. So the original agreement said, one, that NVR gets to reserve 0.4 MGD or 400,000 gallons a day of sewer plant capacity up to the time that the city makes, up to the time that the 6 MGD capacity construction is done. That's about 2 years away. And that they get to receive impact fees for the construction of the line for 20 years. The modification of the agreement changes so that, one, the 0.4 MGD capacity goes for 20 years from execution of the data contract, and second, they have 20 years to recoup impact fees. At the end of the 20-year period, they will either be using their capacity or their capacity reservation goes along, or two, they will have recouped their investment, or they will no longer be able to recoup their investment. We deem that on a staff level, we still recommend the agreement to you. The major shift here is the capacity reservation. Of all the homes and commercial entities that we have scheduled or approved through some type of PUD in South Leesburg or not, really the heartbeat of this project is the further south we go, the more that we have the need for the bypass. Right now, back in January, if you recall, January of this year, we had a major meeting with all the developers in play, Marshawn, Hodges, Anthony, Barkey, Leiden Nichols, White Marsh Phase 2, and so goes, to the tune of about 8,000 units, plus X square feet of commercial development PUD. 10 months later, almost to the day, the only developer who said they're willing to front the cost of the interceptor is Barkey/NVR. So really, the two of all the developments that we've proposed in there is probably Hodges, Anthony, and Barkey who are doing the most what I would call "quote unquote" development saber rattling. So what does that in English? What does that mean? At this stage, the most likelihood of development is probably going to be Barkey. If Barkey doesn't build, then we don't really have a partner to build the interceptor. If we don't have a partner to build the interceptor, we don't have additional wastewater really going into the plant, but through lift station 72. So, long story short, it's a reasonable request. And if I was in their shoes, it would be one that I would be making as well. They're going to be fronting somewhere between 10, 15 million. They're probably the most likely to use that capacity, so it's a reasonable request.
Is 20 years normal for a pioneering agreement?
Yes.
Okay. Seems long to me, but
All of the pioneering agreements are a 20-year term,
Okay,
and that's pretty standard from city to city.
okay. Thank you for that.
I'm okay with the 20-year on the Pioneer, but I'm not in favor of reserving capacity for up to 20 years on a project.
I can understand your concern and risk. Is there a way to skin that and keep the developer happy?
The developers are here this evening. This is their request. My guess is that this is pretty germane to their investment. They want to ensure that they have a place to take wastewater once they spend $15 million. And if they front the $15 million, I don't think they want developers jumping in front where they have put the investment to build the sewer main.
Kevin Ramirez, Ryan Holmes. I think Mr. Minner said it best, and I think that's our position. Is we just want to make sure that we have, once the line's built, before all the development comes to the south of Leesburg, we want to make sure that we can continue developing and building Barkey the way that we've designed it. We want to make sure that the capacity is there for us as well.
Yeah. I'll also add, on a staff level, we don't take lightly reserving capacity in the water or the sewer capacity issues, because we want that free. And we have always had a first come, first served basis. To date, we've only made one exception to this rule, and that was for the villages. And the villages paid for their capacity, $9 million, which we anticipated was going to be needed to make some improvements. In this particular case, because we've been able to financially put together the other capacities, and because we believe the 6 MGD really suffices development in the South for a number of years, of which Barkey is in that mix, them fronting this is a reasonable quid pro quo for capacity reservation.
And help me out here. I thought, I remember well expanding from, the current expansion from 4.5 to 6, but I thought I remember hearing 5-7 years now we'd be expanding again. Is that incorrect? Or I guess I can restate that. How long do you think this 6 MG will last? I know it's a loaded question, but
it's a loaded question. I would say if we continue to grow at the 80, not including villages growth, if we continue to grow at 80 units a month, that's measured by the COs that we issue, we'll probably be back in 2030 starting to say we're expanding outside of the 6 MGD capacity. Having said that, I'll also add that most of the development in the Leesburg ISBA box is filling up pretty quick. The 2 major growth areas that you have, or there's 3 major growth areas we have, and I don't mean to be long-winded on this, but I think it's important because it recognizes the thought that's gone in behind this recommendation. There's 3 major growth areas that are occurring right now in Leesburg. Northwest Leesburg, the 44 corridor, where wastewater would come down, go to the canal plant, and then get shifted down to Turnpike if need be. The southern corridor, which is what we're talking about, pretty much everything from 48 south to the Turnpike-ish, plus the Boot Hill, I call it, that has Highland or Royal Highlands, Blue Cedar in it, so east of 27, that corridor. And then the villages. The villages are separate because beyond the 3 MGD capacity that we've already planned for, already constructed, and already working with, I don't see us entertaining another type of sewer treatment capacity deal with them again in the future. I think as they continue to grow in Sumter County, and now as we know, they have 3 other major parcels in Lake, the one in the Mascot ISBA, Renaissance Trail, what used to be Renaissance Trails, and now Secret Promise. Those are really going to be handled separately by the villages, and we're really going to be working more in a general fund capacity to get a franchise fee for those services. So I don't think we really need to put that planning in our matrix of what's going into the tank. We do for South Leesburg. We do for Northeast Leesburg. I did miss Tierra Oaks. That's, kind of Northwest Leesburg. But all of those things considered, that should take us right to about 6 MGD. There's a couple special things that we're trying to do with the pilot program, with trying to extend the capacity of 6 MGD with the treatment method, where we're applying for some grant dollars to get that, where we think we're going to get that. So there's lots of things that will happen and occur before we need to expand past 2030, past 6 MGD, which at 80 units a month will put us to about the 2030 timeframe. So having said all those things, although we don't like to reserve capacity, the key to unlocking development in South Leesburg is this bypass, and basically one developer stepping up to the plate to work with us to take on that risk. So I think the things that we've talked about are a reasonable quid pro quo.
We need that line, right? I mean, we're almost at capacity now.
I will say
on the line.
I will say we need that sewer bypass if we want to continue to grow in South Leesburg.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Cindy Terrapini with Terrapini Planning Strategies. I represent NVR, who is the developer who has stepped up to the plate to build this line. As the student manager said, NVR is a national developer. They have the financial capability and the accountability to be able to do this $15 million+ project. And what we're really asking you for is that the ability that when our 1,700 units come online, that the capacity is there because we NVR have spent the money to make that happen. So that's the reason that we're asking for that capacity for the 20 years. We probably will have them built before then, but as you know, things happen. You know, there are changes in the economy, but we do hope to be finished by then. But the other reason we asked for the 20-year, and I don't think there's any question about this, or at least I'm not hearing it, is we will be able to, NVR, when they go in for a building permit, won't pay a sewer impact fee. It'll just be credited against the $15 million cost. So as each unit comes in, it'll be deducted. That's one way we get repaid. The second way we get repaid, which may take up to the 20-year time period, is as other developers come online, when they tap in, they pay their impact fees to the city, and quarterly that's paid back to NVR. So we don't really know how long those projects will take to do that. There is a significant amount of money, more than just our 1,700 units, to be reimbursed. So that's why we ask you for that courtesy of the 20 years. And as your attorney said, that's your typical time period. We are very excited about the possibility of doing this project with the city. As I said, NVR is a national developer and has the financial capability to do it. Nobody else is standing up here today asking to enter into this agreement with you and make a very significant contribution to your infrastructure. So I'm happy to answer any questions. And of course, Mr. Ramirez from NVR is also here if you have any for him.
So do you want to reserve capacity for up to 20 years on a project you're not 100% sure when it will even start?
No, I didn't say that I'm not sure when it would start. We are underway. The engineering is well underway. Mr. Ramirez expects to submit plans for all of the engineering plans and permit plans for the first phase of the project in November next month. So yes, it's proceeding. What I'm saying is that over a 20-year period in the economy, there are ups and downs in that economy, and things happen. And so, you know, let's say in the first 10 years they've built 3/4 of their units, but something happens at that time period and prevents them from continuing. They just want that ability that since they have spent the money and upfronted that cost of that money, they're paying cash for it to build the line. They want the ability to be able to, when they do come in for the rest of those units, to have the capacity there. Everything may be great, and maybe all 1,700 units come on in a fairly quick period of time, but none of us has a crystal ball, and we want to be sure that we are protecting NVR and their $15 million plus investment in your city.
And then anyone else is hooked up to that line, but you would get to buy a near fee on that over that 20 years also.
Correct. Up to the point where if our cost is $15 million, we only get paid back $15 million. If the cost is $12.5 million, we only get paid back $12.5 million. Even as the city collects more and more fees during that time period, let's say things go gangbusters and everybody comes online, and let's say it is a $15 million project, and our units go online, and all these other projects in South Leesburg come online, and we're paid back in 10 years, that's it. We don't get another penny. We're done. You don't owe us anything else. So it's just that you have the courtesy of up to 20 years because we don't know what the other developers, how quickly they may come online. There's some that I think are rattling around and seem to be moving along, but, you know.
Well, what you're asking to reserve, is that just enough for the subdivision you want to build, or is that
no, sir,
everything else that would tie into that line?
No, sir. We're only asking for capacity for Bar Key, the project you guys approved last year about this time. Mm-hmm. It was approved for 1,700 residential units and a commercial site. The commercial site is being built by others, so it has nothing to do with the NVR reimbursement. But we're only asking for capacity for the 1,700 units in the Bar Key project. Everybody else, they don't have capacity. Any other project outside of Bar Key has no capacity today. Now, it doesn't sound like you guys generally reserve capacity, so unless you did that for some other project, there would be no capacity reserved for any other project, solely for Bar Key, which is being built by NVR, who is the one fronting the $15 million for the line.
Any other questions?
No, thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
Any other comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Connell?
No.
Commissioner Reisman?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Mayor Burry?
Yes. We'll move on to item 6. This is the public hearings and non-routine items. First, we'll have 6A is the second readings of ordinances. Someone please introduce 6A1.
I'll introduce 6A1 to be read by title only.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, establishing the County Road 33 Community Development District pursuant to Chapter 190 Florida statutes, providing for authority and power of the district, establishing the district, providing for the Board of Supervisors of the district, providing for the district budget, providing for functions of the district, providing for miscellaneous provisions, and providing an effective date.
Approval.
Second.
Discussion. This is the Battaglia and Banning. That's it. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. Dan Miller, Planning and Zoning. This is for the County Road 33 Community Development District. It will encompass the Battaglia property, which is 278 units, and the Banning Ranch, which is approximately 500 units total. Those are east and west of County Road 33. Background on CDDs, just in general, they're a special purpose district that's designed or created to manage and finance and deliver basic community services, including water, wastewater, roads, security, schools, landscaping, parks, things of that nature. They're specific to a described area and for the specific services in that individual CDD agreement. They have no zoning, no police power. They cannot encumber debt to a local government. There's just basically a way to pay for cost of infrastructure, a self-taxing unit. So we do have several in town. We have, of course, the Villages has a number of them. We've got Arlington Ridge, Terra Oaks, Eagle Tail Landing, White Marsh. And basically, Chapter 190 of Florida statutes requires the government to sign off as basically acknowledging that there is a CDD.
Any questions for Dan? We need public comment on this grant. Any public comment?
Good evening. My name is Michelle Rigoni for the petitioner, QTAC Rock, 107 West College Ave, Tallahassee, Florida, 32301. We're here for any questions the commissioner may have, but otherwise, your staff has done a great job of leading us here. So just wanted to show our appreciation for your staff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Commissioner Eastman?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Mayor Burry?
Yes. Someone please introduce item 6A, 2, 3, and 4.
I'll introduce 6A, 2, 3, and 4 to be read by title only.
6A2, an ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, annexing certain real property consisting of approximately 12.5 acres, generally located west of County Road 468 and north of Jones Drive, as legally described in Section 21, Township 19 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, providing that said property so annexed shall be liable for its proportionate share of the existing and future indebtedness of said city, providing that such annexed property shall be subject to all laws and ordinances of said city, as if all such territory had been a part of the City of Leesburg at the time of passage and approval of said laws and ordinances, providing that such annexed territory shall be placed in City Commission District 1 and providing an effective date. 6A3, an ordinance amending the future land use map of the comprehensive plan of the City of Leesburg, changing the future land use map designation of certain property containing 12.5 plus minus acres from Lake County urban medium density to City of Leesburg low density residential for property generally located west of County Road 468 and north of Jones Drive, lying in Section 21, Township 19 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date. 6A4, an ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, changing the zoning on approximately 12.5 plus minus acres from Lake County RP Residential Professional to City of Leesburg SPUD Small Plan Unit Development and R2 Medium Density Residential to allow for single-family development for property generally located west of County Road 468 and north of Jones Drive, lying in Section 21, Township 19 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
Second.
Grant, if you'd work your magic.
Yes, sir. Everybody, including city staff who is present and wishes to add any testimony on item 6A4 of the agenda for the Homes and Partnership rezoning, if you would please stand and raise your right hand so you can be sworn in. Do you swear or affirm that all testimony you'll give tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? All right, thank you.
Go ahead, Dan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is the Homes in Partnership Christian Worship Center annexation, small-scale comp plan, and SPUD zoning. I think the name is going to be Christian Reserve at this point. It's approximately 11.7 acres of PUD plus about 1 more acre that's going to be zoned R2. The site is generally located along the west side of County Road 468 and north and south of Veach Road. You have a comp plan that's going from Lake County urban medium to City of Leesburg low density residential, and a zoning that would go from Lake County residential professional to City of Leesburg small plan unit development in R2. It would consist on that 11.7 acres of 25 single family homes. You get a density out of that of about 2.2 units per acre. The PUD allows single family residentials only, 60-foot lots, so you get 60 by 120 for 7,200 square feet per lot. I believe the house size is 1,500 minimum, 2 stories, standard setbacks, 2-car garage, architectural standards. We've got our dark sky lighting, wetlands protected, trees required front and backyard, some fencing options, and then access points will come from Beach Road. Separate recreational requirement, I believe, was 5,000 square feet on that. All other standard PUD conditions are in place. It's a good project for West Leesburg. Mr. Mike Rankin is here with Land Planning Group of Mount Dora, and Pastor John Christian is here from Christian Worship Center if you have any other questions.
Any questions for Dan? Any questions for the petitioner? Public comments? Any public comment? No questions. All right. Not used to that. We're going to vote on 6A2.
Separate motions on each item. Yes,
make
sir.
them
Make a motion to approve 6A2.
There you go. Roll call.
Commissioner Eastman?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry? Yes. Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Mayor Burry?
Yes.
Make a motion to approve 6A3.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Commissioner Eastman?
Yes.
Mayor Burry?
Yes.
Make a motion to approve 6A4.
Okay. Yeah.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Commissioner Eastman?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Mayor Burry?
Yes.
On behalf of the applicant, thank you very much.
That was quick. Okay. Someone please introduce, let's see, we're at 6A5.
I'll introduce 6A5 to be read by title only.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, correcting a scrivener's error on ordinance 22-17 Hills at Leesburg, pertaining to side setbacks and adding a requirement for gutters for a property consisting of approximately 41.69 acres, being generally located east of County Road 44 and north of Sing Road, as legally described in Section 1, Township 19 South, Range 25 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
For approval.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Commissioner Eastman?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Mayor Burry?
Yes. 6B, we have reading of first ordinances. We have none. 6AC, we have non-routine items. We have none. Informational reports for 7, we have none. City attorney items.
None for me this evening, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Moving right along. City manager items.
None.
Boom. Roll call.
Commissioner Berry,
Nothing for me this time.
Commissioner Cunningham.
I do have one thing. I read the email that came out attached with the city manager's evaluation forms, and I do have a question on, there's no other employee in the city that gets their evaluation given to them a week prior to it being shared with them by their supervisor. That evaluation is presented to them at the time they sit down with the supervisor. So I'm not sure why we're being asked to provide our evaluations 1 week prior to the meeting. I believe we should hold the city manager the same standard as every other 500-something employees we have in the city and not give it to them a week in advance.
I didn't look at the grant, but I think it's because it has to be included in the packet.
I don't think it does.
Just as a matter of clarification, the employment contract between the city manager and the commission calls for an evaluation. I believe it's paragraph 11. In that paragraph, it states that the commission will do an evaluation, will share it with the manager prior to review, and then will review publicly. That's what the paragraph says. We've obviously done the city manager evaluation multiple different ways and facets, and we're pretty much at your desires. So the commission can pretty much do what they want with this regard. They can fill out the application or the form and turn it in. You can review it with me if you like. I've received one form from the mayor at this time. So you're really at your however you'd like to do it. All I noted in that email was I was requested from Commissioner Reisman to do a self-evaluation, which I turned out, and suggested that when you do the evaluation on the 23rd, I believe, that you just make a specific comment on how you would like to do the evaluation moving forward, so everybody's on the same page. The commission's really interpreted that paragraph of the agreement several different ways, so I work at your pleasure, and however you want to approach me, address me, review me, it's really up to you all.
I mean, I think I know what paragraph he's talking about. I think it says city manager to be evaluated every August, I believe is what it says, but I don't recall it saying anything about presenting it prior to the commission meeting. I think it says something maybe to the effect of mutually agreed upon or something to that language. But I just think, I just think the city manager should have the same standard as the rest of our 500-something employees.
But what you're saying then, the city manager would come to this meeting where he would be evaluated. The other employees aren't evaluated in public.
I know, but unfortunately, Mayor, I agree. I don't think it's a great setting to perform an evaluation that way, but I believe due to the Sunshine Law, I don't think we have any other way to do it.
May I ask, being new to this as the first time, I would like to suggest that we do it privately and do our summary publicly. Is that possible?
That's exactly what the paragraph says. The paragraph 11 states that the city manager and the commission will work collectively to come up with a criteria to review the manager. If the manager and the city commission don't work collectively to come up with that process, then the commission will impose a review on the city manager, however they so choose. It states in that paragraph that the commissioner and the manager will review individually the comments, and that's pretty much it. It doesn't even specifically state that there'll be a public review. That's just typically what's been done. So it's really up to you all to decide with me collectively how you want to do the evaluation. Commissioner Cannell brought up that we want to do an evaluation. That's fine. And my response back to you all is, however you want to do the evaluation is up to you. And it's up to you to discuss this evening.
Yeah.
If you want to change the process, change the process. If you don't want to do an evaluation form, don't do an evaluation form. If you want to meet with me before you meet, meet with me. If you don't. If you don't want to review me publicly, then make that comment amongst the 6 of us this evening. As I said in that memo, I acquiesce to whatever evaluation form you want. In the past, we've done evaluations. In the past, we haven't. In the past, we've done it verbally. So again, it's the Commissioner Cannell requested the evaluation be done. Understand that request, and willing to do the evaluation process however the 5 of you deem appropriate.
May I suggest that we do all commissioners complete the form, and then we discuss privately with one-on-one with the city manager, and then we come collectively to have a discussion, and then we do a summary that it's not public, but we can do a public summary of what was decided among the group.
Yeah, I mean, I think the issue, you could certainly all meet individually with the city manager and send the city manager your evaluations ahead of that meeting if you want to do so. If there's going to be any kind of official action taken, some sort of culling of the various reviews and some type of summary that everybody's going to approve, then that would need to be done sort of in the public forum.
That's what I'm saying.
So all of that, and I don't think there's any problem with the other commissioners per se seeing the evaluations beforehand, as long as you guys don't discuss them. You don't email amongst each other, and there's no real formal action taken from those. But you certainly could do your individual evaluation, send it to Al, and then meet with him individually, and then come back as a full body and then come up with a summary that everybody approves if you want to do it that way.
I mean, I didn't see anything in the email that would make me to believe that that was the option that anybody was going to choose, that we would meet individually with him. That I believe the email just said submit the evaluations by October the 18th for the October 23rd meeting. That's my point here. I mean, why would he get the evaluations prior to the meeting when no other employee gets theirs prior to their meeting? That's the question.
Well,
I'm saying it doesn't bother me one bit.
So we're going to have 2 different standards, one for employees in the city and
Well,
one for
I
city
guess
manager.
Al's held to a different standard. He's being reviewed in public, which I feel sorry for him being reviewed in public. I may do mine in person and have no comments here. Well, this may be hard for me. We'll see.
Well, again, a question for someone coming on that's new. Why wouldn't it, I would think that it would be only fair that everyone participates in the process. And
Sure.
if we complete the form, we complete the form, but it's not fair if you don't complete the form and just have a verbal
Well, I agree. I
conversation.
think
So if that's
everyone should
clear-
have a written
Right.
evaluation. Absolutely. I don't think verbal should work. They don't work with any other employee in the city.
Well, I think I would trust the commission to come together and make the decision with the city clerk in line, and I don't think it should be a public. I don't think it should be done publicly. That's
Well,
my
and I
thought.
agree, and I'm all for. I just don't. I never have believed. Don't do your best not to air your dirty laundry in public. I agree with that, but in this case, at some point, it has to be done in public, as Grant has said, because it is sunshine. But I just didn't think we should submit them in advance, a week in advance before we actually do the evaluation with the city manager.
Why is that so troubling to you? I'm missing something.
Well, that's not
I'm looking around and see
troubling.
a lot of blank stares, too.
No, I'm just not troubling. I'm just saying we shouldn't have one standard for 500 plus employees and one standard for the city manager. No other employee gets theirs a week in advance to review before they meet with the supervisor. That's my point of the story.
Would HR not be in the meeting as well when you meet with them one-on-one? Is HR not in the meeting?
I mean, I could go run and grab it. Yeah. I think that the simple answer to this is the way that we have done this in the past is the evaluation form has been issued to commissioners. Commissioners may or may not choose to fill them out. Commissioners may or may not choose to meet with the city manager prior to the meeting. and the reform may or may not get to the city manager prior to the meeting. So my suggestion to the commission is stick with that process and do what you want. The evaluation is scheduled for the 23rd. I will add that the city manager is not like other employees of the city. The city manager is your CEO. The city manager has significantly more abstract issues that you judge him on. And so...
And these reviews are public record, right?
The reviews are public record. So what I'm trying to get you off the hook there, Commissioner Cannell. However you want to do the evaluation, however you want to do the evaluation, you do it that way. It's on the agenda for the 23rd. If you'd like to see me prior to, come see me. If you'd like to give me your evaluation before, give it to me. If you want to save it for the meeting, save it for the meeting. If you don't want to do it at all and not do it and just verbally give, which has been done by other commissioners in the past. The question was called to put the manager review on the agenda. That was done. I sent you out an email today so that the process is solidified for next year so we don't have all these drawn-out discussions next year. Hopefully, when you do that on the 23rd, you'll agree to that process that I proposed to you, and we'll move forward.
Any other comments? I will say I did the evaluation, and I submitted it to Al. And I'll be glad to talk about that evaluation when we, as a group, come together. So I would encourage everyone to fill out the paper and talk to Al about it. And then we can sit here in public and talk about it.
So my understanding is we complete the application, give to you, submit as recorded, as stated in the email, and then we discuss with you privately, and then we come publicly and discuss again?
Yes.
That's
if you want to.
That's your option.
Okay.
Everything in this process is yes, comma, if you want to.
Yeah.
You're the boss. Yeah. The collective, there's 5 of you, and individually, you get to do it the way you want, and collectively, your collective wisdom then leads out. So do it the way you want.
So I will turn mine in early. I will not be meeting with you ahead of time, and I look forward to discussing them.
So we're back to roll call. Any other?
No.
Commissioner Reisman?
Nothing for me tonight.
Commissioner Peterson?
Nothing tonight.
Mayor Burry?
Nothing tonight.
Move for adjournment.
Get a second?
Second.
We're done.